You can create vibrant backgrounds using the embossed resist technique. However, if you want something a little more subtle, you can eliminate the embossing powder and just use VersaMark ink for a more watermarked look. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you how to do this background technique and then how to glam it up with a little glitter. Let me show you the tools and products you're going to need for this technique. First, you're going to need a stamp that you're going to use as a background, and I've chosen this snowflake stamp from the brand new Wishing You Joy Stamp TV kit. Then you're going to need some VersaMark ink, and then some other color inks that you want to use on top. And I'm choosing the Memento Bahama Blue, and I have the Ink Essentials foam applicator, and I also have a dewdrop here, a Memento Dewdrop in Summer Sky. Alright, so we're going to start with a piece of Gina K Designs heavy base weight white cardstock. This has a nice smooth finish. And I'm going to ink up this snowflake stamp using VersaMark ink. Now it's a little bit difficult to see on the camera where I'm stamping these snowflakes, but when you're doing these at home, you'll be able to see that subtle shine, or if you're using a darker piece of cardstock, you'll be able to see the watermark left behind. I can see this pretty well from here, but I don't think it's going to pick up on the camera. And what's important about being able to see it, at least when you're working on it at home, is you want to stagger the snowflakes a little bit. You don't want them all just in the same exact line. So by being able to see that watermark, you'll be able to stagger them and place them in different areas so it looks more natural. All right, and I think I'm going to add, it looks pretty good. Okay, so now my next step normally would be to emboss this with clear embossing powder so that when I rub ink on top of it, that white snowflake will pop through. But like I said, I want this to be a little bit more subtle. So I'm just going to go and ink right on top of this VersaMark ink. I'm going to add a little bit of the Bahama Blue ink onto my foam applicator, and then using a circular motion, I'm going to add ink on top. See how pretty that looks? It's so much more subtle than using that bright embossing powder. Because even though the VersaMark ink is resisting the majority of the dye ink, it's still coloring it just a little bit, giving it a little bit of a more subtle look. And then I'm going to go on top of that with a little bit of Summer Sky, just to add a little bit more texture and kind of fill in those areas a little bit. And as you can see, I'm using direct to paper on this one. I'm not using an applicator. Isn't that beautiful? Here's a little zoom in for you. So pretty. Now I want to show you how to add a little bit of zing to this. So what I have here is a Sakura Stardust pen in the clear star. And I'm just going to touch this pen lightly to each snowflake by touching it just on the little circles here on the ends of the snowflake. And then right here on this part of the snowflake. And then I'm just going to put one little dot on each part of this area. And can you see that little bit of shimmer? I'm going to actually show this to you with our anti-glare lights, and you'll be able to really see how it sparkles. So you just fill that all in, all those little dots, and place them strategically around each snowflake. Makes it look very symmetrical, and then when it sparkles, you've got shine coming from all around the snowflake. Now, I want to show you my focal image. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to stamp this little penguin guy, and I'm going to use some Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this. Stamp him like that. Then I'm going to add a little greeting, and I'm using, again, from the new Wishing You Joy Stamp TV kit, I'm using the word joy. And I'm just going to add that word right next to him, just like that. Now, using a couple of different markers, I have assorted markers, and you know I like to mix and match my markers. I'm using a Copic marker in B05, and that's Process Blue. And then I'm using a Bic Market marker, and this one is called Summer Melon. So I'm going to color in his little scarf here using the blue. And it's a nice blue. It really looks nice with that Bahama blue memento pad. And then I'm going to show you how to add some sparkle to this part of the penguin without coloring the entire thing in. It gives it a very shimmery look, but it also gives it a little bit of a textured look, almost like if you bought one of those scarves that has that little bit of glitter thread running through it. It's so pretty. So let me finish coloring this up. And again, I love the color Stardust pens. They come in all those different colors in those packs, but if you don't have a clear one yet, it really is a good one to start with, because you can color that clear over any color and it'll just add nothing but sparkle. So I like to have that one with me at all times. Then I'm going to add a little bit of this Bic marker here to his little beak and his little feet. How cute that is. Now, back again with my Clear Star Sakura pen. Rather than color this entire scarf in, just touch the pen to the scarf, making little dots. And you just make those randomly all over the scarf. This is so fun to do. It's really easy. And when it comes to making holiday cards, quick and easy is essential when you have a long list of friends and family that you want to send cards to. I think this one's going to be definitely one of my main Christmas cards this year. I don't know what it is about this, but it's just so clean and simple, but it's got a lot of sparkle. So okay, let me show you my finished card project now. And what I've done here is I've used that background paper and I've mounted it onto a piece of our chocolate brown cardstock, and all of these colors and everything are in the new Wishing You Joy Stamp TV kit. And then I've used a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch card base in our heavy base weight white and mounted that whole panel on top with a little bit of chocolate double stitched ribbon here to accent that little border. And then I've just cut this little guy out using some circle dies and some petite scallop circle dies by Spellbinders. And I have a quick and easy little card. And let me show you how pretty it looks when we turn down the anti-glare lights. Look at all that pretty sparkle and shine. Can you see how the edges of the snowflakes sparkle along with that pretty scarf with all those little dots of glitter? Using the VersaMark Resist technique will help you create subtle, elegant backgrounds that won't distract from the focal image.